Hello and welcome once again to Sociology. And today we're going to talk about socialization. This is going to be a rather short um, presentation because I'll be spending a long time on the next section. But socialization is what I want to talk about here. I talked about culture before. Um, Socialization is the process by which individuals internalize the values, beliefs, and norms of a given society and learn to function as members of that society. Okay, so when we talk about internalizing values, beliefs, and norms, we're talking about absorbing the culture, internalizing the culture, and things like that. It's a big deal. Um, it involves all sorts of parts of people, identity, personality, roles, etc. Through socialization, people internalize cultural expectations and then they act them out. And as they act them out, they pass on those behaviors to others. Okay. It's also socialization is a mode of social control, enforcing conformity to social norms. We can't really have a police officer on every corner making sure that everybody is following the rules. So we internalize it. Okay, we internalize these things. And so what keeps us from, say, committing a crime is guilt or, you know, things like that. Like our conscience won't allow us to do it. And we get that through socialization. Okay. Um, this is not to say that there is no individuality or no creativity or no agency or free will, okay? We interact with our environments in creative ways, yet most people, most of the time, conform, okay? And what we become is largely influenced by the socialization process. See, we are not born knowing who we are taught who we are. And if we live in another society, in another time and place, we are different people. And I think that that is very powerful. Okay. So we will see in the next section, though, that too much conformity can have negative consequences as well. So we'll break down a little bit the symbolic interactionist theory of socialization. Okay, so to remind you, symbolic interactionists are concerned with how human actions are based on the meanings we attribute to things, and these meanings emerge through social interaction. So people learn who they are, their identities, and their values, the culture, through the socialization process as they learn the social meanings that different behaviors mean. Okay, so for symbolic interactionists, meaning is constantly reconstructed as people act within their social environments, and all of these interactions create the self. Okay, the self is the individual identity of a person as perceived by the same person. The self is hard to talk about without saying self. Another definition I got from a sociology dictionary a long time ago says it's a mental construction of the person by the person. So if you have that, like, how you see who you are in things, that's the self. Okay. And what symbolic interactionists say is that the self is constructed through interactions with other people. Okay. There are related terms like identity is how we think of ourselves or various meanings attached to oneself by self and others. I have many identities, such as I am John Fox, that's a personal identity. I am a husband, sociologist, teacher, drummer, um, activist, a few other things. You know, wine connoisseur, not a very good one, but yeah, okay. So, that's like, those are some of my identities. And those are also constructed through interactions. Okay. So, symbolic interactions think that people become who they are through their social interactions through a lifetime. And two theorists are very important here. One is Charles Horton Cooley, and the other is George Herbert Mead. Okay. Charles Horton Cooley postulated the looking glass self. The looking glass self, in which a person's conception of self arises through reflection about relationships to others. Okay, so they come to see themselves as they think other people see them. 3 steps to that process. How we think we appear to others. I got this from Margaret Anderson. Okay, how we think others judge us, and how these thoughts make us feel. Okay, for example, let's say that you really studied for an exam or a paper or something. You worked really hard and you thought you did really well. You left the room or you turned it in thinking that it went well. Well, you get it back the next class meeting and the teacher has written a big fat red D or F on it. You might go through a process like this. You might say, wow, I really bombed this. Wow, damn, I thought I was good. I thought that this was good, but then, you know, damn, this just makes me look dumb. Okay. And I think the teacher looked at me sideways a little bit. You know, they, you know, didn't really think that I did very well. They looked kind of disappointed. Well, maybe I'm just not that smart. Okay. Maybe I am kind of dumb. Okay. Now, I've gone through a process like this. Okay. So, if you've gone through a process like this, you're not alone. That's the looking glass self. It can happen in positive ways too. If you dress up nicely and, thinking that you're looking pretty attractive when you go out, and then you observe that people are smiling at you or something, you might say, yeah, I'm pretty good looking here. I'm feeling hot. That kind of thing. So, in sum, the looking glass self is the process by which we see ourselves as we think others see us. Okay. Now on to George Herbert Mead. Okay. This is kind of complicated. Hang on to your hats. Okay. Mead thought that roles, sets of expectations that govern a person's relationship with people in society were the basis of all social interaction. So, when people play roles, they are expected to fulfill the expectations associated with those roles. So, when we think about roles, any kind of roles, they are expectations. Okay? Taking the role of the other is the process of imagining the social world from the point of view of the other. Okay. Um, for example, when you have the sociological imagination paper coming up, you're probably thinking that trying to imagine, yourself from my point of view. Okay, what does this teacher want, and things like that. Now, we are not born knowing how to do this. There are 3 stages to this. The imitation stage is just plain old copying behavior. Okay. This is what children imitate. A child may imitate an adult reading, but with the book upside down. Or they just might not be concerned with what the adult is doing, looking at them and stuff. Okay. They're just doing it. They're just imitating. Then they get to the play stage when children begin taking on the roles of significant people in the environment, in their primary groups and things, but they're understanding different nuances of the behaviors and things like that. So, in like a kind of the play stage, if the child is playing house, they might use like a tone of voice, like of a parent or something, knowing that that kind of tone of voice, a kind of a strict tone of voice, for example means like, something stern that, hey kid, you're going to get in trouble here, this kind of tone of voice. But then it's still like not a very complex system until the game stage. The child is able to take on several roles simultaneously, and they're organized in a complex system that gives the child a more comprehensive view of the self. Okay, so for those of you who have done things like organized sports, team sports, I'm talking about, theater, if you've done dance, or even if you've worked somewhere and things like that, everybody has a role in a particular, situation. Okay, everybody has a role, and and so the child is able to take on the roles of other people simultaneously. A baseball pitcher basically knows where everybody is on the field without looking at them because they know what the role is. Okay, they know what the role is. They know when they're taking the roles of several people simultaneously. Okay, so um, that's yeah, taking the role of the other. Okay, now all of this role taking can be quite confusing. Okay, so children come up with the idea of the generalized other. Okay, the generalized other. The generalized other is the that's basically society. Okay, abstract and positive social roles and expectations, according to Margaret Anderson. Okay, when we say society expects us to do that, okay, that is the generalized other. Community values and general social expectations. Okay, so um, for example, as my in my occupation at Foothill College, I have roles, there are expectations. I kind of create an abstract composite of them, of students, my colleagues, fellow faculty, especially in sociology, administrators. Am I going to meet everybody, every single person's expectation all the time? No, that's impossible. So I basically form an abstract composite of like expectations, and I go, okay, this is the generalized other. So that whole generalized other plays a role in socialization, and then that leads to the I and the me. Okay, this is probably cut off here. So it's probably cut off, but it's supposed to be on the slide, and I can't really correct it right now without like um, doing this stuff. But just imagine that I have on this slide here the I and the me. So in grammar, I is active and me is passive. Okay, so the I is the subject of the sentence, and you use me when one is the object of the sentence. Okay. So the I is active. Okay. The I is active, the me is passive. Okay. That's the two parts of the self. So the attitudes of others, the generalized other, can constitute an organized me, and how one reacts is the I. So the me is the passive, conforming self, while the I is the reactive self. So, um, to further explain this, to clarify a little bit more, a woman named Brooke Miller um, did a woman named Brooke Miller did this YouTube video on the I and the me, and she explains it very well. And I put that up on Canvas, and I encourage you to watch it. So that is my very short lecture on socialization. And next we will come to um, social structure, groups, and social influence. Okay? Um, I hope you have a wonderful day.